It's a great pleasure and honor to share with you a little story about this social enterprise, or as we strive to be a relational business, but currently it's just a business of reimagining our city. And the aim is really simple. We aim to make urban farming a commonplace for our future cities. And in that, we create and build social capital on these farms. And very simply put, we also want to make farming cool again. And that appeals more maybe to the younger generations. Before that, I'd like to, probably you may not be familiar with me, a brief introduction about myself. And I understand maybe from the background information, it contains a little bit of the historic path or journey that we went through a different enterprise. And 2 years ago, we rebrand ourselves as Rooftop Republic. We've learned a great deal with the relationship that through how this startup actually goes about and handling different partner investors relationship. So we rebrand ourselves as Rooftop Republic. And as I know Michael 7 years ago, and since then I start to make a little bit more conscious about how my various stakeholders really see me, rather than how I would want you to understand who I am. So I give you a glimpse of how my various stakeholders might saw me. Well, I would tell you I'm an entrepreneur and an urban farmer, and I would like my investor to think that, wow, I really work in this high-tech environment, but a lot of times my friends just feel that I'm just playing some farm games. My most challenging time actually is every week when I spend meals with my mom, with encouragement from Michael. Spend more time on the dining table. So I have to explain to my mom over and over again, no, farming is really different nowadays. And I feel that the Swedish magazine really got the gist of it when they mentioned something about a garden near heaven. I'm glad that it's not in heaven yet, but I have the assurance that, well, firstly with Jesus I'm assured that I'll be there, but also now I would have a job as a gardener. Yeah, so with that, the team is not just me. Michelle, my wife, from Singapore, Paul from Spain, Catalan. So 3 of us speak in total about 7 languages. So it's pretty global team. We have the world in our vision and heart. And it's really lean. Currently we have 1 staff, and hopefully we get 1 more in this month. And yes, fate brought us all to this beautiful city, closer to 8 million people. As you can see, a high-rise building, and I think that's the 2 tallest building standing across Hong Kong Island and Kowloon City, and ICC and IFC towers. But every time I look at beautiful pictures like this, I ask myself, does 7 or 8 million people in Hong Kong see our city like this every day? Or is our image about our city like this? If not, then what is the image of us living in the city every day? Or rather, the reality is more like this. When you stand on the street, you see concrete jungles, highly compartmentalized spaces in your home, but at the same time when you go into office, the cubicles make no much difference. And so it's practically from cubicle, or just now I was mentioning a cell into another cell, through very congested public transport system. And I wonder, growing up, and I was just now sharing with our friend from Korea as well, probably that's really part of the Asian quality, that we just grow up in this kind of rapid economic development. We hardly question, do we have any other choice? this is part of our life, this is part of our growing up, and we naturally move along and adapt into this kind of environment, and really didn't even feel it like, oh, we are living in 33rd story, about 100 meters above ground. It doesn't make much difference. So then again, my question is, how do we then talk about relational proximity and to people that grow up in this era, and naturally, the natural thing when we see the elevator is that only two actions on the neck is up and down, right? Hardly lateral conversation with people in the lift. So you just look up, and then after look down on the handphone, and then look up until you reach the floor. So this kind of enlightenment, what strikes me is that I met my neighbor in the first time when I moved into my new apartment in 6 months. I saw my neighbor for the first time, and I got the chance to ask him his surname. So that impacted me because by then I already know Michael, and of course I tried to overcome that unrelational part of me and start striking a conversation, as what Michael has been telling me to do. Yeah. So these are the things that I guess is also propel us as we think about what kind of enterprise or what kind of business that we would like to do when we discover urban farming, and we know about relational thinking, proximity, how then the two can integrate, and what kind of language can we bring to the market. However, we do realize that there was a gap, and there wasn't such a language in the clients that we meet, in the people that we meet, in the market that we're talking about, or even in that space, in that geographical area. So we try to formulate certain narrative, and thus something that I think kind of helped me to sum it all from team yesterday is an invitation to use the word let's. Let's reimagine our city. Let's think about what our city could be, or what other possibility could be if, say, what if we discover the idling space of our precious land area, precious urban area? I'm not fighting over prime land with you, but in your prime land, there will be certain areas that is idling, or maybe previously designed for certain exclusive executive. For example, this building, I won't name it because I know that it's videotaping. It's in the CBD, Central Business Area. It's a 30-over-year-old building. It was a helicopter landing pad for the top executive. And is there a way to say, talk to the stakeholder, let's work together, transform this space into something value to you first? Well, nothing about maybe relational aspect yet, but something value to you. How about a green roof? How about somewhere that can bring nature in? Wow, that sounds great, right? That kind of get the start of that. And after that, once this space is transformed, how about then we start inviting some of your internal stakeholders to come and enjoy the space together? Not bad. I mean, internal stakeholder engagement is so important. We have the most valuable asset, right? The human asset of the aspect. Every corporate, we're talking about it. Yeah, thanks for Jyoti, your blink. Yeah. So with all this, then we ask, okay, with this, the transformed space, the invited internal stakeholder, then do we observe any changes in the relationship along the way? Do we see any changes? And now, are we ready to start a new conversation? So that is just started off with an invitation to reimagine our city. I have some other photos, just some examples for you. What does it look like in building that relational capital along the way? very quickly, just with your permission. Thank you. Through the innovation, we ask, what you see missing here in that transform space, right, with that hardware, is the software part, the people part. I think we talk about this a lot. But at the same time, how do we really bring values to all of them and to those who are willing to give up the space or allow the space to be transformed? We need to speak their language. We need to ask ourselves, what is in for them, right, before they can open up the space. So we created a series of programs, apply design thinking, apply different types of model, build a business model around it, and also ask ourselves, how do we really sustain it? So we are talking to all these property developers, retail service companies, F&Bs, that really are the make up around 90% of Hong Kong's GDP in the service industries, which is currently for Hong Kong. And we talk to them and see how then can gardens like this, community gardens like this, or we don't even name it community garden, just transform space like this can bring value to you. We design that space for you, we design the services for you, we design programs for you. Highly catered, highly specialized. And thus, with the blessing, we kind of develop a business model around it and sustain ourselves. And with that, I leave it with this image that along the way we have a lot of support from our dear friends, also the media, and one that we value most is BBC, and also the impacts that we have created over the past 2 years. And hopefully all of you could join us in this tribe, share the words, and we'll see different gardens, different way of relational platforms sprouting out in our cities. Thank you.